Throughout Zombies and the history of zombies, we've had numerous questions come up in terms of who people are, their importance to the storyline, and a lot of which have actually been recently answered due to the official storyline that is complete canon as described by Treyarch. This is something that gave a lot of information on some of the already existing and long-standing questions, but some things were omitted, and perhaps on purpose or perhaps on not, but there are still a few questions that elude answer, not only throughout World at War Black Ops, Black Ops 2, but also in Black Ops 3 as well. And one thing that I want to take a look at and discuss a little bit here with you guys is a character that we may have not been introduced to yet, but may hold some importance later on down the line. That being, who is Newton? Currently, the only existence of Newton that we have in the zombie storyline is in Newton's Cookbook, a feature within Black Ops 3 that was added in December as a way to distill gobblegums that you don't necessarily want for ones of higher rarity and something that might actually be of use to you in a certain environment of a game. And if we know anything about Treyarch, it's that they're meticulous with their details and they pay attention to absolutely everything, putting meaning behind every single name, every single sketch, anything that goes into a map. So when we have an entire overarching feature called Newton's Cookbook, there's probably some reason. And so, with this being the only indication of a character named Newton, that really does beg the question, who is Newton and what's his importance? So obviously the very first idea perhaps goes all the way back to Isaac Newton, and what this may entail is his love of alchemy. He's been publicly known to be incredibly into and enthusiastic about alchemy. For those of you guys that don't know what alchemy is, it was a philosophical and proto-scientific tradition throughout Europe that was studied and practiced for quite some time, all the way back from 3500 BC. So it's been around for quite some time, but what it is based off of is the aim to purify and perfect certain materials, changing things into one thing or another. One of those main things being that was studied, turning things into gold, simply because gold has much value to it. Now the simple answer is that it's very similar to how we distill gobblegum into more useful ones. That could simply be the only tie, and that might be the end of it. That we distill items that aren't necessarily of value, say in comparison to traditional alchemy, something that is just a natural material, taking that and distilling it into gold, say in comparison a perkaholic. So perhaps that is the only significance to the name, but to me that doesn't really add up, simply because alchemy is something that could be referenced by itself. Why to Newton, and how would this even work? Well, perhaps it's because he wrote a fascinating number of things on alchemy, spent a lot of his time on it, even though a lot of it may not be publicly known. But if this were to work out, perhaps due to 115 displacement, there could be a reality in the Zombies multiverse in which Newton has had the ability to see the future and perhaps has more knowledge of everything than the self that we all learned about in school. However, seeing how things worked out for Dr. Monty and his factory, I can't really accept that this is the only sole connection that we have here to the storyline. Perhaps I could be completely crazy. Maybe it is just this one minute link and a reference to something else, but perhaps it's a completely different Newton and a completely different character. What if it's somebody we have yet to be introduced to? Dr. Monty in Black Ops 3 was a name that was tossed about until DLC 3. It wasn't until Gorod Krovi that we had any indication of him being an actual character. There was theory and speculation, of course, but nothing that was officially given to us and thrown out into the public, and a true introduction to Monty and zombies. To me, that connection in general is enough to make me question if Newton is of more significance or not, simply because, once again, Dr. Monty had something named and we never saw him until a little bit later. Newton could be exactly the same way. Perhaps he was like Monty and the Shadow Man, a keeper who may be an overlord to the rest. There's a few different mentions of the overlords in various different quotes throughout the game, a lot of which basically just referencing that there are people above, those entities that are above the keepers and the apothecans that we see throughout Zombies, and Monty and the Shadow Man, of course, being those deities that are an upper echelon of the keepers. So if you think about the keepers being the higher power to our zombies characters, Monty and the Shadow Man are the higher powers to the keepers. Now the way the overlords is made to sound is that there's multiple, not just Monty and the Shadow Man, so there's presumably more people that we've yet to be introduced to, and Newton could be one of those, perhaps working with or for Monty and being that backdrop character that we've yet to really see. Simply because we know that Monty, though it's kind of up in the air depending on how you want to look at things, Monty is the air quote good guy and the Shadow Man is the air quote bad guy. So perhaps Newton is on the good side of things, but who knows? And while all speculation and theory with no real basis other than the fact that we've kind of seen this happen before, my thinking is that Newton is a character of this upper echelon, a governing council or an elder council of the Keepers, and to take it all the way back, even before the Dark Aether corrupted the Keepers to turn them into Apothicons, I think that he was one of those originals. Though we don't have any introduction to him formally, it is something that this mention and, of course, more so like supernatural power to distill these gobblegums into something else is quite parallel to that of what Monty's ability was as a sort of overlord deity in the zombies lore. So, is this something that we may have an answer to in Black Ops 3? More than likely not, to be honest with you. This is probably something that's going to lead up into the proverbial Black Ops 4, something that probably won't end up being titled that, but the next Treyarch game, just for reference. This is something that will probably be carried over into this because we are not done with Monty, the Shadow Man, Primus, everything like that. While the multiverse is seemingly saved and restarted, there's definitely more to the story with how everything was left off at the end of Revelations and even following further into Zombies Chronicles. So where this leads up to, we have no idea, but perhaps some of the clues are in plain sight for who Newton may be, or maybe he's nobody at all. So that said, that's going to wrap it up. Want to bring this little discussion to you guys and see what your thoughts here were on this. Do you think Newton is going to be a character of much importance similar to that of Monty and the Shadow Man in the next Treyarch game, or do you think that it was just simply maybe a reference to Sir Isaac Newton from our true reality? Whatever it may be, feel free to drop it down there in the comment section down below. There's no right or wrong answer, so let me know what you think. And if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like down below. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe to stay up to date with everything we have here regarding Zombies Chronicles, zombies in general, Black Ops 3 multiplayer, Modern Warfare Remastered, Call of Duty World War II, all that good stuff. We got you covered here up on the channel. And finally, if you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, that's the best place to get connected with me outside of YouTube. I practically live on Twitter, so if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, link is down there in the description below. But all that said and out of the way, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys have a fantastic day. My name is Nikolai Espresso. Take care and peace.